Oops. So this is sort of more geared toward folk and rock and sort of pop music, but scales occur in most genres of music. So you can apply this to a lot of different areas. So on piano, the C major scale is your best scale. It's so easy, uses all of the white keys. So you just start on the C and then you just play them all in order. So if you're just starting out and you have like a chord progression that you came up with, or maybe you're using someone else's chord progression, using this C major scale is really helpful because you can just kind of hit any of those notes and try to figure out a melody from there. I have the examples of all the other major scales here as well. And then here's the C major scale written out for guitar. This scale is just written ascending, but it's really helpful to actually practice these scales going down as well. If you only practice it ascending, if you're doing a solo, you might only ascend in your solo by accident. So good practice to go up and down when you play scales. And it's super boring to practice scales, but like it really makes you a better musician, and it makes you a better soloer, and it makes you a better songwriter. So yeah, just practice them. So all these scales can be arranged into what's called a circle of fifths. So here we just looked at all the scales in order: C, C sharp, D, E flat or D sharp, E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, A flat or G sharp. In this case, we look at the keys based on the number of sharps or flats. So when we say a sharp, we're looking at those keys on the piano, like say a C sharp, and we actually just move it up a half a step. So this black key would be a C sharp. Conversely, for flats over here, you're gonna move down a half a step. So I could look, say, over at E, and if I were to move down a step, that would be E flat. Would you look over here? Oh, that's E flat. And because of this moving up or moving down, you can actually have two different names for the same note. So that E flat is also sometimes called D sharp. And that's, they sound the same. So don't be too stressed about what the name is, because we're just trying to make the sounds. Sometimes you get some funny things too, where it's like C and then it says C flat, and you're like, well, that's actually just a B natural, we would say, because there's no other flats or sharps. But just a useful diagram is the circle of fifths, because it helps you figure out which keys kind of sound really good together, and also which chords also sound good together. So that Beatles song that we looked at in the scales video had C, G, and D, and you'll see those are all clumped together pretty close right here, because they all work really well. In this case, we go to the left, we ascend by fifths, and if we go to the we go to the right, we ascend by fifths, and we go to the left, we descend or go up by fourths and down by fifths, which is, again, just counting those notes on the piano, right? So if I go back to my keyboard and I start on A, I'm still on the hard rock sound. Here we go. Start on the A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that 5 would be the G, and then the next one would be the D. So nice that the G and the F are actually G and F. All the rest of these are not the right names, so hopefully that doesn't distract you too much. But I put this up here because it can be just a useful tool, and it also shows your relative minor keys. So when I'm playing in C major, I'm not using any of the black keys. And if I'm playing in A minor, I'm actually using the same keys, but I'm just starting on a different note. I can't go down far enough. Anyway, I could do C minor for you. It's going to be not just the white notes, but relative minors shown there, just for reference. Okay, so a lot of these scales are super complicated. So musicians literally all around the world develop this really simple scale, which is sort of like a hack. So you can use this thing and you can make so many nice melodies with just these 5 notes. So the pentatonic scale gets its name from the 5 notes, and they eliminate this tritone is what it's called. And if I play those 2 notes, that F and the B, probably you don't like that sound. That's actually That's a nice sound, right? This is a nice sound. That's the note in between a fourth and a fifth. And that note is super harsh. So that's, you know, if you take that out of there, you're not going to play those notes by accident. And you can end up with pretty nice sounding melodies, right? We got. And maybe you're like, whoa, that sounds like a folk song. A lot of folk songs were written using the pentatonic scales. You could take that pentatonic scale and you can actually add a flat fifth in there to create the blues scale. So the blues scale is super common, obviously, in blues, but also in rock and roll and other music. So I'll just play a C blues scale here. That's that nice spicy note right there, right? That's the flat fifth. A normal pentatonic scale in C minor would just be. So fun. And again, practice your scales so you can just like really easy, just move around on them, even if you're playing a computer keyboard instead of a piano keyboard. But pentatonic scales and blues scales, it's the way to go. It's so nice, it's super helpful. I didn't actually write out a pentatonic scale for guitar here, but if you're a guitar player that has not learned one yet, go Google it right now. So again, yeah, they have those 5 notes instead of the usual 7, and like 99% of guitar solos are using a pentatonic scale sort of as their starting off point, their launch pad. And ideally, usually when you'd find this on guitar, they show it way down on the end of the neck. Ideally, you learn this scale all the way up and down the neck so you can do solos wherever you want. But it's easy, it's fine just to do it in one place to start. And then another nice hack for piano. If you play something in the key of D flat or in the key of F sharp, you can actually play any of the black keys on the piano and it will form a natural pentatonic scale. So you could try to compose a piece of music using only these keys. You might find it's like pretty easy. It's like ridiculously easy. I don't know. So what I do when I write a melody, right, is I think about changing the notes, obviously, but also changing the rhythm. And to me, it's almost like speaking, right? When I'm speaking right now, I change how fast I say the words, I change the pacing and everything. So you're kind of trying to do that as you play the notes, you know, change up the patterns a little bit. But yeah, those black keys, man, they're nice. And it's super fun too, because you could find a backing track in D flat or in F sharp, and then you could like solo just using the black keys, and people will be like, whoa, they're like super good. They know what they're doing. Little advanced section here. So usually when we compose music, we're using major keys and minor keys, which are fancily called the Ionian and the Aeolian modes. Woo. You actually can start on any note and have a different mode. So you'll notice they're only using the white keys on the piano, all the natural notes. But in this case, instead of starting on C, you just start on E or you start on B. And that gives you like a really different vibe to the piece of music. So we could compare a C major scale here. Nice, lovely, beautiful, to a D Dorian scale. Feels like a lot more unsettling, like, yeah, just kind of interesting vibes there. Or we could do E Phrygian. And that half step at the end, oh, it just sounds so sad. A nice trick, if you're trying to play in modes that are unfamiliar to you, is to think about the 1 and return to that 1 a lot. Oops, that way the listener, whoa, I just muted myself somehow. The listener feels more grounded in what they're hearing. And of course, that goes for just playing a major scale mode, right? Use that C note a lot, use the root a lot. Or if you're playing a minor scale, rely on that root and the notes kind of right around the root um, to help kind of bring you into that home base. Yeah, so if you're, wanting to try to push yourself and challenge yourself, you might try to do something in a different scale. Or conversely, you can, make a piece that's in C major and then try to make a solo that's in D Dorian over top, right? You're using the same notes, but maybe that one instrument is just trying to bring your home base to a different area. I actually experimented with that recently. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. I don't know. It's fun.